After Kathleen Sebelius took a beating on Capitol Hill apologizing for the messy Obamacare rollout, the president took center stage with a very different attitude, especially when it came to his repeated promise, now proven not true, that if you liked your insurance, you'd be able to keep it. So now that hundreds of thousands of Americans have been kicked off their plans, who's there to blame? Listen to this.
Remember, before the Affordable Care Act, these bad apple insurers had free rein every single year to limit the care that you received or use minor pre-existing conditions to jack up your premiums or bill you into bankruptcy.
Well, joining me now, Simon Rosenberg, president and founder of NDN and a former Clinton campaign advisor, and Brad Blakeman, former deputy assistant to President George W. Bush. All right, Simon, so now the bad apples, it's not the administration, it's not Kathleen Sebelius, it's the insurance companies who've put together these plans that now are not up to snuff?
Well, what the president said was correct, is that there were, in this individual market, which has about 15 million people in it, many of those insurance plans really don't cover very much at all, and people think they have more protection than they really do. What the ACA does is creates a new floor, and in every case where someone's plan is being canceled, they are being offered, a new plan by the same insurer. These are not cancellation. In some ways is not really the right term. That plan's being terminated, new plans are being offered, and they have the options to go in the exchange.
But you make it sound like it's automatically the exact same plan, and if it was,
no, I'm not implying that at all.
I'm not implying that at all. Canceled.
No, I'm not implying that at all. And people who have individual insurance, about 50% go through new plans every year anyway. So even if there wasn't an ACA, 50% of these people would be negotiating new plans with their insurers in any case. I'm not saying that at all. These are different plans. Some of these are going to cost more money and provide better benefits. Some of them are going to provide better benefits and cost less money. But certainly it's been a shock, and the administration should have done a better job to explain to all these people that this was going to happen.
Well, you're talking right about the top leader, the President of the United States, who for the last 3 years basically lied to the American people. Are you admitting that today?
No, I don't think he lied at all, but I think that they should have done a better job to explain.
Well, I don't know. If it wasn't the president who should have done a better job, then I don't know. I don't know how he could have changed his story. Brad?
Look, this is part of the Obama 3D strategy: distort, distract, and divide. Move away from the promises that were made. The president was very clear when he was running for office. He said if you have insurance, you keep your insurance, period. Most Americans will find savings, period. You'll be able to keep your doctor, period. Those are definitive statements that are now, it's more than puffery when you're talking about sales pitches. These were affirmative promises the president made that now the American people are finding out are totally 100% untruthful.
And you even have a top Democrat like Steny Hoyer saying there should have been a caveat. In other words, people could keep their plans as long as they followed Obamacare regulations and standards. So it all depends on what now the definition of insurance is, Simon?
Well, just to be clear, right, this is only going to affect, I shouldn't say only, this is going to affect several million people. Most Americans, hundreds of millions of Americans, their insurance isn't going to change. It doesn't affect them at all. We've got to be careful not to overstate what's going on here. This was a mistake. The administration made a mistake. They should have been more clear that there were a pool of Americans that were going to be adversely affected by what would have happened. I think they blew it on this one, and I think they should admit it.
Simon, there are tens of millions of Americans who are going to be affected. Let's not talk only about the people who have lost coverage. Let's talk about the people who their employers are now dropping. Let's talk about the people who are full-time people and who are now going to be part-time people.
Brad, that's all exaggerated. That's all exaggerated right-wing talking points. No, that's not true. None of that is true, Brad. That's not true.
I think the main thing now is when a president says something for 3 years and it turns out that it's not true, I think there's no doubt that that affects the credibility. I don't care if you're the janitor or you're the president of the United States.